What is up, bros? Josh here. In today's video, we are going over the Alsace, the Tier 9 French Battleship, and this is the post-nerf Alsace, which I hadn't played before. Obviously, I'd played the Alsace on the main account before, but we are on my new account, the Road to Tier 10 account, which is another series I'm doing. We're going over all of the lines in World of Warships from the lowest tier all the way to the highest tier, to see if we learn anything or watch which ships are extremely strong for their tier. And we had gotten to the time of the Alsace. We got into the Tier 9 of the French battleships. And one of the things that has happened to the ship since I have played it is its most recent nerf. So if you guys didn't know if this thing had been nerfed or what the nerfs were, is the reload on this ship had gone from 30 seconds, a base reload of 30 seconds, to 32 seconds, and the sigma dropped from 1.7 to 1.6. Now, the sigma, if you guys don't really know what that means, that is basically the vertical dispersion of the ship. So it basically just means it's more inconsistent with its overall dispersion. Dispersion number is still the same, but it's just no longer consistent. A lot of people will consider it more inaccurate. Just a side note, when we were playing this, we did have the stock hull still. As you can see, we have 69,000 life instead of the over 70,000 this thing would have fully upgraded. And we didn't have the speed boost, the increase to its propulsion as well. We only had the change to its gun range, which is one thing that's kind of so not only are we seeing this ship kind of stock, and we're seeing this ship when we're seeing only the 10-point captain too, with only having AFT, not concealment expert. It's kind of a true kind of show of, I was a little worried going into this. I've heard of people talking about how the ship is relatively weak now, and it's not as good, and blah blah blah. Now with the buff to the ship, or with our reload consumable that we do run on this, not the reload consumable, the reload module, we are sitting at about 28.2 seconds on our main bat reload, still making it the slowest at T9 battleships, assuming all battleships are using the main bat reload module, most of them being at 26.4 if they are running the module. We are running the for our modules, we are running the main battery consumable as well as the secondary range, so we're rocking a 10.8 kilometer secondary range. And for our captain build, very simple, only getting basically AFT, not concealment, standard, kind of just standard setup here for our captain build. So still pretty new, and this is about as, you know, kind of as fresh of a ship as you can get. So I was a little nervous about playing this ship. A lot of people had kind of talked about how it has gotten the nerf hammer pretty heavy, and, you know, a lot of kind of bad things about the ship, because this ship used to just absolutely slay. And so going into this ship, especially with this new series, visiting and revisiting a lot of ships that I hadn't played in a while, it's always pretty surprising to see what I learned with these ships, and kind of going through, like we saw stuff like I went through the York after its buff, and that thing is a new beast. And so the Alsace was something I was definitely interested in seeing how it was now compared to how I remember it. And long story short, this thing still absolutely slays. This ship is still so good. It's still a fantastic mix of good guns and fantastic secondaries, and its ability. Now, it's still not a super tanky ship, but I mean, you are going to get salvos like that right there on the Miyoko. But still, when you're playing this ship, it is a fantastic mix, and you'll see me just absolutely start slaying of a good guns, lots of guns, fast ship, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy the playstyle of these ships, these battleships, because they can get into situations where you can really help your team by being able to flex. And what I mean by that is being able to flex into another spot that'll really help your team. Now, if you're a slow battleship, you're really going to have a hard time getting from one end to the map, especially these high tier maps, one end to the map to the other. Now, of course, it's not tanky, so I will kind of get picked on for a little bit. HE firing battleship, 2 HE firing cruisers. That's not going to be the best, you know, the best time for anybody. So we're going to flex away from that, use our speed to get away, avoid some damage, and keep rolling. So imagine what we would be, even if we had concealment expert, we would have gone dark there, actually. So not having that 14-point captain that we were rocking is kind of a bummer. But one thing you'll see me do a lot when I'm playing this ship is using its guns to lighten up the team a little bit, kind of, you know, tenderize the team a little bit, and then use those secondaries to be that dual threat of just absolutely wrecking face. And you'll see me really do this a lot when I play this ship or the French style of battleships, as since they don't really tank that well, since they're relatively, I would say, kind of a fragile battleship line, if you want to call them that, if you just kind of charge in like you would with, let's say, a Musashi or a Missouri, Iowa, they can kind of take that beating a bit more than the French battleships. But what you'll see me do kind of that second half late game is you'll see me go right into the middle of caps and get those crazy firing French secondaries off and just watch your damage increase, kind of secondaries on one ships, guns on another. As you can see, we have a lot of ships on this one line. So that means I need to get where those ships aren't, because we're not going to win if we're all sitting there. So, but still trying to find those broadside targets. Already 32k, not too bad. You know, we're kind of getting the hot and cold, but every once in a while you get the good dispersion. I mean, that's still great dispersion, even with the nerfs. So, and there's a nice little citadel right there. So these things start smashing, and once we get into range, with only a 20.3 kilometer range, that is with the upgraded range, the module, that's the only one we had so far. Or the module, the hull, not the hull, the module, I guess, whatever. But only having that, not the upgraded normal hull or the propulsion. It's kind of just shows like, truly what this ship can do. But you kind of see those ships in the middle, and we're gonna try to focus that. Now we have a pretty balanced team, and our team starts to drop a couple ships. And my thought process was to kind of throw some shells in the middle of the map. But I'm thinking, hey, we have a lot of ships, and this is something I've started to do a lot recently, is kind of getting rid of the carrot or like the treat or whatever that a lot of people are focusing on. Because you see, we have 3 ships. We have a Minsk, a Scharnhorst, and a Baltimore, and they're all kind of focusing that shores. The faster you kill that shores, the faster you kill that carrot, you know, the faster you kill the whatever that shiny thing is, the faster those ships will kind of move from that location. So I've started to do that a lot recently, and it seems to actually be helping. Maybe that's some 200 IQ stuff. Of course, the Neptune is always going to chalk up whatever it can. With the 308s, I'm still finding them to be fantastic when it comes to playing a battleship. I think they're really good against cruisers, and I still think they're solid against battleships. Yeah, they don't quite have, like, they're not going to be hitting stuff as hard as the Musashi is, but still, I like that reload time. It does seem weird that the smallest caliber at the tier now has the slowest reload, but the Alsace is still just an absolute monster. Don't look at the whatever reviews if anybody ever says the ship is terrible, because it's still just fantastic. The thing is still so good. But no, back to what I was kind of talking about. Taking out that ship that's kind of like, I would consider like the distraction ship, because now, as you saw, those ships are kind of going away south or north, and now they're going due east because that shores is dead. So maybe use that when you're playing it. It does help. It seems to help. And I've noticed my team kind of getting, because a lot of people will just get so tunnel visioned on 1 or 2 ships, and then just kind of get dragged into a corner. We've all had games like that. The dispersion didn't help us out here, a bit of a bummer, but we've all had teams like that to just, for some reason, dragged us all the way into a corner, like 3 or 4 of our ships, and that's kind of just has a huge impact of the game. So so one thing I've started to do is just throw a couple salvos in on something like that and get rid of that shiny thing that your whole team is just absolutely focused on. Because look at these guys, they're all going due east, which is amazing, which is exactly what you want. Now, I'm trying to figure out what is the best situation for me, and obviously it's going to be making some kind of presence at B cap. Let's get that cap, because their Baltimore has been kind of posted up here, so the faster we can just kind of push into him, push into those low ships to the north, and really start to use, we have, you know, we're back up to 50, almost 58k life, and the faster we can get into position to kind of work that out, the better. And really using our secondaries late game is fantastic, because these things are absolutely nutty. You're going to be you're going to be such a presence if you can get within that 10.8 kilometers. It's not so much that they're just going to do an insane amount of damage. They'll do a decent amount of damage, but it's just the pure presence of getting hit by secondaries is going to just scare off a lot of people. This is World of Warships. People are scared to take damage. So if they start taking damage from a source that they can't really control, like their secondaries or your secondaries, they're going to move away and not enjoy their life. So luckily, though, I'm going to push into the low life ships. Basically, right now, we're trying to clean up a lot of what's going on, get rid of a lot of the ships that are low. The faster we do that, then the faster we can kind of take over this map, because low ships are still just a distraction, and we need the points and we need the map control. So here we go, getting into position and popping off with the secondaries. And as you can see, I'm trying to set up so I don't give up a broadside. As you can see, the Leon up here, Scharnhorst right here, so I can use this, and I'm pretty protective over here, so there's only going to be stuff being able to shoot in front of me. So trying to use protection as much as I can. And that Baltimore is so lucky he didn't get obliterated there. 4 overpens on a broadside. It's a bit of a bummer. But again, always trying to, because it is such a fragile ship, we're trying to get into a position where we don't just take a ton of broadside hits. But these guys are kind of lining up perfectly for me. I'm actually dark in the middle of the map with not having concealment expert and a detection of 14.6 kilometers. But again, we're going to get into a spot of kind of in this area, or we're going to turn away, whatever kind of works out the best, but we need to avoid the Fiji's torps and the Scharnhorst torps. So I think I was watching the Scharnhorst distance from me, because, you know, 6-kilometer torps on a battleship, last thing I need to do right now is take torps from the battleship, or take torps in general. So we'll get some range from them, and we'll get into a spot where we can just then continue to work in. So some great damage right there. I think a lot of people kind of don't give the French guns too much credit. They talk about how their caliber is so small. You're still going to slay if something's giving you broadside. Already 120k, and really we've only been in an effective spot for part of this game because of how I think probably 9 of the ships, 8 or 9 of the ships, have been on the other side of the map, not even in range most of this game, or behind islands. So 120 already is pretty good. But working on that Leon will be fantastic. Getting them out and just working on ships and getting them done. Now, of course, as soon as you shoot, the Fiji pops up at 7 kilometers. So Fiji's going to hurt me a decent amount. Luckily, as we know, and the Baltimore is going to be right there as well, is nothing's going to be able to spot me. So I just got to go dark for a bit and get out of radar range, because that'll be kind of annoying. And just, I guess, kind of wait out the smoke. Again, we're watching the Scharnhorst direction, so the Scharnhorst is starting to push away. So actually one play we could do right here is getting into a spot to then kind of work down these guys. He does have the radar, and again, that Baltimore got so lucky. There's that kind of mediocre dispersion. Takes 1 full pen, that's it. But we will kind of turn in and get into range. The Fiji's torps we got to worry about, so we'll stay out of that range. But again, we're dark right here, so this is just kind of awesome. Just the positioning ended up being really good for us this whole game, because we just got to be a serious threat. Kronstadt put in work on the Fiji, and I think he even kills him right here, which is always good. But now we don't really need to worry about too much. We can just kind of push this Baltimore, get him out, and get that Fiji out. So once those guys are both dead, we can really start pushing. They're big bad battleships, so they have 4 more battleships left, but we know that the Leon is pretty low. Colorado, not too worried about, and the Scharnhorst is one thing we're gonna have to worry about a decent amount, but still not too worried about anything left in this game. So there you go, down goes the Fiji, no big deal. And there's the Confederate. 6 citadels so far, 6 citadels, and now we're gonna see some more secondary action going off. And this is like kind of the best part about this ship, is there's a lot of carefree damage you get when it comes to this ship, and that's just awesome. It's just that this passive, I love even when doing other games, passive damage is just amazing. And that's something that you get really with like a lot of the German battleships and even the French battleships, is getting yourself into a position where you can use these tools to just give you passive damage. Not only do you have a decent reload at 28.2 seconds, yes, it's the slowest for this tier, but it's still decent. And then just straight up passive secondaries that will just obliterate anything that gets close to it. So finally, there is our poor man's Kraken, our 4-goal haul. Confederate 4-goal haul. So we're gonna work towards our other Kraken. We're not done yet. Trust me, we're not done. When it comes to the Alsace. So again, we have that speed, we have that flexibility. We are out of heals now, so we have to be kind of present to that. And they do have a Lion, which is obviously an HE thrower, so we don't really want that. And we know that the Leon was throwing HE as well, so we want to kind of stay away from that. But we do want to get into a spot again, using our secondaries, using our tools with this ship, and really put a lot of pressure on these guys. Yeah, I'm saying the Lion is probably fairly low. Again, looking at salvos on the Scharnhorst, keeping away 6 kilometers from that guy, because we don't want to get torped. Because that would be a bit of a bummer at this point in time, because it's still, this game could flex anyway, as we see the Richelieu right off to our right side is extremely low. But there's a Leon right there. And even our other guy, nice, got another Confederate, so 2 Confederates in this game. And this is kind of perfect right here. We have somebody that has guns. Boom. Yeah, secondaries on the Scharnhorst, main guns on one target, and we're gonna turn away from him, and we got our Kraken, so nothing to complain about that. Almost 150k. We did lose our Richelieu again to the Scharnhorst right there, and if we can take out this Scharnhorst, we can get that really good. And then you can't argue with that. There's high caliber. There's our 6 kills so far. And really, it's just all about the rest of this game, just putting pressure on that. The Lion had switched up to AP, so that's really good. So one thing we're going to do right here is push right into this Lion. We have about double his health, and we're going to keep guns on the Colorado. That's the amazing part about this ship. So push right onto that cap, put pressure on them, and then this is where you can use that dual threat of the French battleships. And, you know, one way of doing damage on one ship, another way of doing damage on another ship. So pushing right into that one. I think in even worst case scenario, we ram for the final kill if we need to. We might not need to since we have the Kronstadt helping us out, but broadside Colorado, even at 15k, going nice and slow. We'll shoot out those high flat walls. That's not a big deal. And I mean, we have 6 so far. Can we get one? Can we get 2 more? How many are we gonna get still? 13k from that range, still fantastic. And there's still so much damage left on this. This is awesome. And the Lion luckily getting kind of pushed into us, so that's good as well. But we still have to be a little careful, because even at this point, I mean, detonations happen. We have a couple low ships. Baltimore and New Orleans, they're both really, really fragile, and our Baltimore is relatively low. The Lion switches back to HE, but already our secondaries are popping off, so that's really what we want to do. A nice another salvo. So 20k on this guy from this range on the ship. Even with the nerfs, even with the reload, I never really felt like I was extremely, like I didn't feel like it was nerfed, you know? It, like, usually when you see, you go, wow, okay, now I kind of miss, you know, I kind of miss having X, you know, reload, or X, you know, dispersion, or I feel the dispersion change. To me, it still feels fantastic. It still feels like a great tier 9 ship. You know, the things that it's still weak, like the things it was weak at, it's still weak at, and the things that are still strong, I feel like it's still strong. I feel like the Alsace is honestly in a pretty good spot right now, and I mean, we have just been absolutely slain with this ship when it came to that. And this is a salvo that I was actually extremely surprised. You guys didn't see the salvo right before this. We had 11k on a Bowen Lion, which is pretty nuts, and yeah, there's that velocity on that Colorado. So down he goes, just an absolute slaughter. 200k, 7 kills, Kraken, high caliber. Nothing wrong with that. We would have eventually got that kill on the Lion. So absolutely nuts, absolutely nuts. This ship is still fantastic. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Alsace, even post nerf. This ship still gets 2 thumbs up from me. I think this will be an extremely easy grind. If you guys haven't checked out our Road to Tier 10 series, we're going down the French battleships, and then as soon as we get to the Republic, the Tier 10, I'll let you guys decide the next line we've gone through. So far, we've done the Pan-Asian line and the French battleships, which we're working on right now. So we're at Tier 9 and almost on the way to Tier 10. Get this thing fully upgraded and finish that grind out. Absolute beast. Alsace, still fantastic. Love the ship. Definitely a keeper. If you guys have the credits to be able to do that. I definitely don't on this account because I'm broke all the time. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the Alsace at Tier 9. Does it still feel good to you after the nerf? And yeah, just what are your thoughts on the ship? And if you like it, or if you haven't checked it out, are you excited to play it? But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.